you ready, Peter?
Ready, Steve?
Oh, yes. Oh, that's all right. We'll let that one go through.
I used to play back in college as a young reporter. So, Stephen, is there a standard on who plays and who can't play?
Yeah, I mean, any level of ability is welcomed, but you certainly don't have to be Andre Agassi to have a hit. We probably prefer that you don't have the biggest level of ability going around, but at the end of the day, it's just about having fun.
Now, Steve, the conditions we're playing at the moment are certainly not typical, I'd say, of tennis. Are there any concerns around that in the normal competition?
We usually wouldn't play in conditions like this, obviously, but for the sake of the interview, we'll persevere. But it can get dangerous on surfaces like this, and we certainly have people monitoring weather conditions, court conditions, all those types of things. And all the players are covered with insurance.
Steve, there will undoubtedly be some big decisions to make in the TSL. Who makes those?
Yeah, the board meet regularly to discuss any issues that players may have, and you know, at the end of the day, it's all about how well you can hit a ball. And if you can hit it that good, you'll go places.
Stephen decided to take me down memory lane to Pearl Beach, where it all began.
Place is all about.
And tell us about the fans and where the TSL is wanting to go.
As far as fans go, I mean, I guess we've got to create some publicity, and I guess this is the first step, this interview that you guys have been lucky enough to do for us and happy to do for us. This will go on YouTube. From there, our treasurer, Kieran, will put some footage on and get that rolling. So you'll get to see all our action shots on the tour, and we'll generate support that way, and then from there, as we get more members, obviously the word's out. We'll go into advertising, and the more support we get from Tennis Australia, the better.
So this is one of the show courts where it all began, before the TSL. It was the CCTA, so just walk us through the history.
Well, this is actually Senate Court. This is where the finals are played each year. The last two finals have been played, but basically we started off as the CCTA, the Central Coast Tennis Association, and in late 2007 there was an attempt by an Indian billionaire to take over the competition. He threw quite a bit of money at me, and when I wasn't forthcoming with that, ready to basically deal with him, he said he'd sign up all the players himself. He actually went and copyrighted the CCTA, something that I hadn't done. That was a bit of a mistake from myself. And at the end of the day, I had to change it. I had to change the name, so I consulted a couple of players, and we changed it to the TSL. That's all copyrighted now, and probably thwarted a massive attempt at trying to steal what the whole thing was all about by he was an idiot, really.
From the humble surroundings, we can clearly see the social nature of the TSL and the advantages that this is going to have for the communities of Australia.
There's a bit of a testy relationship between. Won't name any names there, but
Well, while we're on that, walk us through the characters of the TSL and some of the magic moments which have been had out here.
well, just like any sport or competition, the TSL has its stars and its star attractions. Obviously, Adam Bentley, probably considered to be the best player in the TSL, skill-wise. Probably doesn't have the biggest personality on court, but off court certainly a funny guy and someone everyone likes to hang around with. He holds 2 majors, so he's got the record there. We've also got Sean Stevenson, known as Shoulders, known as a safe player, doesn't really have a big reputation for big shots. So that sort of endears himself to fans, the way he just scraps around. If I can just stop for a moment talking there, here we've got what we call the green room, where players can relax with each other, play a bit of lawn bowls, video games, ping pong machines. So just basically a place where they can take their focus away from the game for a short moment.
Yeah.
But back on the characters of the game, we've got the drip, Kieran McClellan. He probably doesn't have the ability that everyone else on tour has. Actually, he's probably got none. But the fans just love him. They just love backing an underdog. So he's got a bit of a following. Aaron Pascoe, probably the most disliked players on tour, just because he doesn't have a good relationship with players on court. He calls a lot of balls out that were actually questionable. So 90% of the line calls go against you when you play him, so that doesn't endear himself. But of course, at the moment we've got the Mangan, and I guess that's just bred out of the fact that any bad shot that you do, we refer it to him. Anything spastic that happens, we refer to him. That's all I can say about him at the moment. Obviously there's a few lawsuits going on there with his heritage and whatnot, but yeah, they're probably the big names on tour.
Ever one to seize the moment, I again questioned Stephen over the integrity of funds management at the TSL. Stephen had this to say.
Any commentary? Again, we referred earlier to our interview with the WAGs, wives of players and partners and whatnot, and definitely from the facilities that are here and the membership fees that are involved. How are the finances kept in check?
Look, I'm going to stop the interview here. Right, you need to put your manners back in. Okay, listen here, right?
Perhaps if you've taken
I've given away 3 hours of my time here, and that is a shit question, mate.
Look, perhaps you've taken it the wrong way.
You've crossed the line.
Look, we'll
stop the camera.
We'll rephrase.
And that brings us to the end of this evening's program. We hope you enjoyed the story on the TSL, the background and where it's going. Stephen de Vries is a CEO with a firm commitment to where he wants to take the TSL. And from all here, we think that it's going places. It's also great for the Australian nation. Young children through to elders getting out there and having a hit, being active. I'm Peter Overys. Good night.